Now, your situation is your husband, Jim, passed away 7 years ago.
That's right, yes.
And you decided you didn't want to continue living in the family home.
No, I was nervous, and I knew if I stayed on, that mentally I would be affected.
So you got it into your head to move into a retirement village. But your siblings weren't too happy about that.
Well, because I was used to wide open spaces and that they didn't think maybe I'd be able to cope with living in an apartment or something like that. But now that they've seen it, they know I was right. Like, there's a 4-course meal provided every day. We have laundry facilities. If we can't do it ourselves, the staff will do it, wonderful staff in it. And at 11 o'clock this morning, 2 girls knocked on my door to know did I want my apartment cleaned out. And all those facilities are there. I don't have a worry in the world. All I have to do is pay my rent. And I even was allowed by the manager to put up a little polytunnel. And John and myself, we started up, we supply the kitchen with herbs and tomatoes.
So a little business going as well.
Little business, and we supply all the flowers. And Sue Riders is absolutely wonderful. Like, I found a perfect solution. The only thing is there's not enough of them around, and I'm so lucky. It's 3 miles from my home. I have my old friends all around me, and I have my new family in Sue Riders.
And you think Jim would have loved it as well if he had...
He would, and I was so sorry that we didn't go in a couple of years before he died. We would have such quality time together. You know, it really was sad that...
I imagine it's the social interaction that you get in this arrangement.
Yeah, well, at lunch every day, that's a sort of a social gathering because you meet everybody. But we have rambling nights where friends come in and play the accordion and we sing and dance and...
I want to move in myself, Mary.
Yeah, but it's so, when you hear the tragic stories here, I feel a fraud. I'm so happy. I haven't a care in the world. And when I was in the house after Jim died, for the first time in my life, I started thinking about the back end of my life. Never bothered me before. And then I started worrying, like, if I'm not well and I'm here on my own or whatever. But now my family, they're so happy. And you're never alone. You're never alone. And we have the Tunstall alarm system where in 2 minutes your call is answered.
And there's medical help if that's required.
Yeah, on the spot.
This is it for you now, Mary. This is your forever home.
It is. And I hope I live there until my very end.
Mary, thank you so much for coming in and telling us a little bit about life in a retirement village. I want to put this to you, Senator. That sounds so idyllic. I mean, it sounds like such a good option for people who, are healthy like Mary, but on their own and want to have an option for their later years. Should we not be doing more to promote, putting incentives into place to promote more of these villages?
I believe that we should, and I think there is a scheme at the moment in Chicore that the department are working on, and I think there's going to be 52 units there. And Crown Housing, they organise age-friendly housing, and they're developing a number around the country. I'm familiar with a particular one called Macaulay Place, which there's been quite a bit of exposure on. It's very similar to what you have, Mary, and people move in when they're in the best of their health, but they have those extra supports to help them live a very fully inclusive life and to be able to help develop their own hobbies, such as gardening, as you do. So I absolutely believe that we should be looking in our towns. At the moment, UCC did a survey recently, and 60% of those over 80 live on their own. I'm conscious that, in Anne's situation, you're that age, but you're actually caring for somebody, and 30% of over 65. So there is a thing called right-sizing. And I think it's important that as we age, and it's a good thing that we are ageing, we have the highest life expectancy in Europe, and that's important. But living and ageing well is equally as important. So I would agree. I think that it's time that we need to look at developing the community supports, which we do very well through Women's Shed, Men's Shed, the GAA, to help people in communities. But I think moving then into zoned areas that are for, I don't want to say ageing people. Oh, we're all ageing, but for all of us as we're facing into the future, to make sure that we have those supports in place that we need and cut down the reliance indeed on nursing homes.
Okay. Yeah, Maureen, and I'll bring you in.
I think there's a place for all kinds of creative solutions to living as an older person. But I would be concerned that older people will sort of disappear from the community while they're, you know, in these sort of enclaves,
yeah.
you know. And, you know, I think older people are part of the human fabric, you know. When I go to the shops, when I walk in the street, when I walk in the park, I want to see older people around. But I want to be around.
Is this not a reflection,
when I'm
Maureen,
that age?
is it not a reflection of how society has changed? That, you know, maybe 50 years ago, there was somebody in the house minding children, maybe. You know, there was more one income rather than dual income families. So there was more supports naturally. Now, you know, people's children mightn't be close to them anymore.
That is true. But my concern is that there's nothing easy in this life. You know, we have to keep changing and adapting to, you know, very unpredictable circumstances. But ageing is predictable. You know, we are all ageing and we're all developing as people from the minute we're born to the minute we die. Not just ageing, we're developing as well. And it seems to me that, you know, that again, these enclaves, even though they should be part of the solution, are a bit like institutions again, you know, that like the focus should be more and more and more on families, villages that are already there, communities that are already there.
Duncan.
Yeah, like what I'm picking up an awful lot is a desire for people to downsize, you know, and this is public housing tenants or homeowners themselves, and you know they still have a lot of life to give, but they maybe can't hold, you know, maintain a 3 or 4 bedroom house, and they are very much aware of the housing crisis out there. And I have a client list of people saying, "Give me a 1 bed, please, in my community, beside my shop, so I can still go to church, whatever the case may be, because there's so many young families that could do with this house." But there's very few schemes. Very few flexible schemes for people such as this to stay in their communities. I know that's taken it away from the care space, but it is something that older people are saying to me when I'm out and about in stores. And there are a few schemes that Fingal County Council are doing in fairness, but it's way behind where we need to be.
Okay, just a couple of people in the audience, try and get as many in. Yes, yourself, sir.
I think this lady has the wrong impression completely of the Sue Ryder situation. I would challenge that lady to come and visit us in Sue Ryder, in Carlow. We're in Carlow.
You're in the same village, retirement village as Mary.
Same place as Mary.
You're also in the gardening business with her.
I am, yes. And I love it, and I feel that I've lost 10 years since I'm 2 years there. I feel I've lost 10 years since I went in there.
You feel like you're 10 years younger?
Yes, because it's a situation where you're your own boss. We have a lovely person here, she's in charge, but she never says a bad word to anybody, and she has us all spoiled. But at the same time, this lady says we're in a sort of an institution. We're not in an institution. We're in a place where we're free to come, free to go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
There's no saying you have to be here in an hour's time. Nobody says that.
Okay. I'm going to try and get a couple of more people in yourself. Yeah, you have your hand up there for a while. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to comment on something that the panel says that they're about older people, particularly living in their own homes. This is, at the moment now, there's been rolled out across Ireland healthy, age-friendly homes, and there's a coordinator being appointed in each local authority area. and that coordinator can go into a home, talk to the people in that house, and decide with them whether that house is suitable to their needs, if it needs upgrading, if it needs whatever. They will help to get funding, etc. If they need to right size, they will also help. But older people, in the majority of them, want to live in their own
In their own
communities.
home.
If possible in their own homes, but certainly in their own communities. They want to die in their own communities. And
that should be facilitated in any way
and it's
possible.
very
I think
good that that's
And I just want to
yes,
sorry,
it is
just,
happening,
great.
and it is.
Just-
it
I'm
is one
sorry.
of the positives that we have to take out of tonight as well.
Yeah.
No.
absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah, and beside you there, yes, very quickly. I've only half a
Okay,
minute
very
left.
quickly. I've been a volunteer in the older section for about 23 years, and I'm listening to all this going on. And we have a minister for older people who's also got mental health in her portfolio. What we need is a commissioner for older people who has no political affiliations, and they have one in the north of Ireland, which is a much smaller sector than we are. So why the heck can't we have it? And I mean, the older people's strategy was written, and it was left on a shelf in Dáil, Ireland for three years, I think. And look at. The politicians have their own agenda, and they're all going to be going for an election soon and whatever. So we need a commissioner who has no axe to grind with anybody.
Okay, that's the last word. We have to give you the last word. Now, thank you for that.